Happy Sunday. Welcome to Arts, Culture, and Things in Between. I'm your host, Rose October, and I am so glad that you are able to join us this afternoon. And as usual, I tell you a little bit about the program, especially for those of you who are joining us for the first time. I don't want to be neglectful to those who have been coming on every Sunday. So I just want to welcome everybody. And right now, we're doing a big group hug virtually. Thank you all for being here. So, about arts, culture, and things in between. This is a program that features individuals who are gatekeepers of our arts and culture. They are not only performing artists, but also teachers, advocates, and scholars who focus on the preservation of the arts and culture. When arts is mentioned, it is being referred to as the different art forms like visual, applied, or performing arts. Examples of visual arts will be painting, sculpting, photography, film. Examples of applied arts will be architecture, designing or building or constructing a project. Fashion designing is considered applied arts. The way that the fashion designer works with different types of patterns and fabrics. Jewelry designing is considered applied arts. The way the jewelry designer works with the materials such as woods, plastic, metal, silver, gold, even stones. Furniture designing is considered applied arts too. The way that the furniture designer works with the different types of woods, the ways that the woods are laid and cut. Then there is performing arts. Example of performing arts would be music, theater, opera, drama, stand-up comedy, and what can I say? My love, dance. The middle part of the name of the program is culture. Arts, culture. So when culture is mentioned, it generally means the way of life for a particular group of people. So for this program, it is inclusive to mean the various groups of individuals that embrace ways of life. In other words, looking at attitudes and behaviors. What is important to note is that as culture is mentioned, I'm really looking at how practices are passed from one generation to another. Things in between, the last part of the name of the program, are life issues that affect the execution of the arts and cultural practices. This involves both positive and negative experiences that become part of the creative process. Today's guest is an applied artist, amongst other things. But before we meet our guest today, let me share a little bit through bio. Sarah Bacchus is a fashion designer, entrepreneur, and TV host based in New York. She was born in Grove on the east bank of Demerara in Guyana, found in South America, where her education began at Grove Nursery School and the Anglican Primary School in Crediton, Berbice. Following this, she then attended Skeldon Line Path Secondary School in Berbice. Before completing high school in Guyana, at 16 years old, she migrated to the United States. She completed her high school educational journey at Richmond Hill High School Her college experience began at Queens College and Hunter College, respectively, where she began her studies in the accounting program. She soon realized that this was not for her, at least it was not her interest, and turned to fashion at the Fashion Institute of Technology, where she earned an Associate of Applied Arts. Sarah's beginnings in the fashion industry were with esteemed establishments such as Oxford Industry and Halmode Apparel. From 2004 to 2006, she was an assistant designer at Oxford Industry, where she designed garments for companies such as Walmart and Target. From 2006 to 2008, she was an associate designer with Halmode Apparel, where she designed cocktail dresses for Liz Claiborne. In 2010, this Guyanese-American entrepreneur conceptualized her brand, 34-24-36, which is known for its seasonless wear concept. This means Sarah's line of clothing can be worn year-round. The fabric choices are made of silks, cotton, wools, rayons, and in some cases, blends of these natural fibers. She has taken the lead in providing eco-friendly garments with style that outlasts trends. Hence, clients are highly satisfied. In 2010, the brand 34-24-36 was launched at Queen's Fashion Week, and it gained immediate visibility. As a matter of fact, one of the pieces was featured on the air. There was additional recognition. Queen's Ledger, QueensBuzz.com, and Greenpoint Star were all print media that covered the event and Sarah's designs. Sarah prides herself on being able to offer many brands of trendy clothing to her clients. These luxury garments are approached and presented from a socially responsible perspective while delivering refreshing fashion in an impactful way as it relates to the environment. In essence, the simplicity of creating with the mindset that, and I quote, fashion looks even more amazing when nothing is harmed in the process, close quote, is so relevant. There are many reasons to fall in love with the brand 34-24-36. This brand celebrates femininity in its glory. It caters to everyone spanning the fashion spectrum, from the strong fashion icon and the old Hollywood era to the modern jet setters of today. The brand has 6 collections: the Origins collection, dresses and separates, kimono inspired collection, the White collection, the Aurora collection, and the Splendid collection. These collections embody feminine strength that render strong detailed lines, figure-flattering and forgiving silhouettes that constitute relevance and timelessness in each garment. 34-24-36 is the best kept secret. This hidden gem of a brand converges design, comfort, durability, and all of the things one admires in clothing. While Sarah's repertoire includes working alongside the fashion industry's finest, she has clothed women from all walks of life. The creative manufacturing and marketing processes of this brand became a reality for Sarah. And more importantly, she knew this brand had the likings of a wholesome American brand. 34-24-36 is entirely based on American-made product, as all aspects of work is central to New York. 34, 24, 36 became a proud member of the reputable organization Made in New York, an entity that works in conjunction with the New York Mayor's Office of Film, Theater, and Broadcasting. Although known in the fashion industry, Sarah has done her share as a TV host. Since 2000, she has been a TV host of the show Exposed to TV and has had the opportunity to work with Stealth Productions. There, she researched and interviewed mostly Guyanese guests who appeared on the show. She was able to meet who's who in the entertainment field and found it a thrilling experience to work with Stealth Productions. In addition, she is a voice talent, and her voice can be heard on voiceovers for business commercials. A few years ago, Sarah received recognition at a fashion award ceremony hosted by the West Indian Music Awards, a Dheeraj Gayaram's production. In addition, the Guyana Times Magazine International has featured the different collections of 34, 24, 36. This was covered by Vanessa Diosaran. 10 years later, now, in 2020, Sarah continues to encompass all that is her brand, 34, 24, 36. There has been significant advancement since its inception, as seen in the growth of the brand to date. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my guest today is Sarah Bacchus. But before I start our conversation, let's take a little peek of Sarah. Here we go. Sarah, welcome to Arts, Culture, and Things in Between.
Rose, thank you so much for having me on. This is it's real. I love it. I think we're done. You said it all.
We're just getting started. We are just, how are you?
I'm very well. Excited to be here. Thank you so much to Arts, Culture, and the In-Between. I'm excited to be here. It's been a while since I've been on this side of the floor. So this will be fun. I think so.
Enjoy it.
Thanks.
It's going to be fun. Trust me, it will be fun. So we saw those lovely pictures of you having fun around the way, around the world, kind of, sort of. And it's so nice that you can actually take some time off from everything that you do and really smell the roses, so to speak, smell the coffee, you know, metaphorically speaking. So I just wanted to start off our conversation in a reflective mode. You know, you were born in Guyana, South America, for my friends who are not Guyanese and sometimes hear Ghana and not Guyana, Guyana in
I'd like
South.
to go there one day.
Yes. So you were born in Grove, right, on the East Bank of Demerara, where your education began, and then you moved to Berbice.
Yes, I was 6 years old when my family just we picked up, we left. My mom is actually, her family is from Grove. My
Okay.
dad is from Berbice in Riverton, Skeldon, and his family lived there. His mom was going to be left there. All the family were migrating to the U.S., and we went up there to stay with her, and started our life there.
Good. So what do you remember about your childhood days?
Oh, we have well in Grove we had there's streets that you live on, and we lived in the streets behind the public road, which is the one main road that takes you from Georgetown, Stabrook Markets to the airport. And so we were on the inside streets, and all the neighbors. I remembered all the neighbors as young as that was. I remember them there having so much, fun and laughter, family gatherings and things like that. And I've continued being friendly with those people. We are still, we still meet up in get-togethers over here in New York. So that's something that was, from a long time ago, that just was so natural.
Yeah.
That it just everyone stayed together.
Nice.
And then I moved to Berbice and just gained a whole new group of friends from there.
Mhm.
So I guess one of the fortunate things of moving is that you somewhat, you get to be with more people. You get to know more people along the way.
Well, moving could be bittersweet, really, right? Because it depends on when you're moving, what's happening in your life, how you're moving, and how you get resettled in where you're moving to.
Right. But I think as being 6, in my case, not so much to really feel that was left, that you're pulling yourself away from at that young age.
Okay.
So it worked out.
Good, good.
It had to. There was no options there.
I hear you, especially if parents are making the decision. Yes. You got to forget your little friends and just move with the flow. So what did you want to become when you grew up?
I think at that point, uh, it was always that, parents wanted you to be a doctor or a lawyer. And since there were two of us, I have an older sister, Linda. Um, they thought Linda would be the lawyer and I would be the doctor. That was the plan, but also that was their plan. Uh, so much for that. So nothing was really written in stone at that age. The important thing was to go to school, get great grades. My dad, not my mom so much, but my dad, it always had to be first place. You always had to bring home first place on your report card, or you're made by a not so happy dad when you get home. So I think I speak for lots of people who are brought up in Guyana with
Oh,
parents expect the most and the best out of their children.
it's not a Guyana thing, though. It's a Caribbean thing.
Yes.
It's a Caribbean thing, I could tell you, because I get a good laugh when I have this topic of discussion with my guest, because everybody talks about, oh, my parents wanted me to be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, never an artist,
Right. And I wonder why, because at that rate of having all these doctors and lawyers, I mean, what, it's like you have to have other things going on. You can't have, just doctors and lawyers.
Wants what they consider the best.
Right.
Their child, right? And they don't even care if somebody else's child is not a doctor, a lawyer, or
Mhm.
they want their child to be. Come to think of it, there might be something to do with why can't you be like so and so's daughter who
Right.
is a doctor or something
Mhm.
like that, or you should aspire to become, because there is that too. Yeah.
There sure is, and I'm not so much in that sort of a thing of comparison. I never liked it
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
comparing to
But you
anyone or anything.
know, we are glad that you decided on what you did. And I wonder, you said your dad was a stickler for, you know, being the top of the class. Who was your biggest supporter as a child?
Well, if you took that as being supportive in terms of bringing home the best grades, I suppose he would
Yeah.
probably be that person. But it was never really. I never really felt like it was him. It would have been my mom, who sometimes the saying about you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Um, so it was more her because of the things that she's taught us along the way. There were things that we would uh, that I remember for myself more so. You know, we bought fabrics together. She would design things, cut, didn't design much, but took pictures that we would tear from magazines, and we would try to make things that we saw in magazines. And she would measure me up, and we'll cut, she'll sew. So it started then. It started then in my early teens, but didn't know where it was really going, because this is the other thing. As much as at 16, I graduated. We migrated here. They never told us we were coming to the U.S.
Mhm.
So
We'll talk about that later
yes,
on.
yes. So
Oh,
it was one of these things that just it was a shocker that we were actually leaving, and so knowing where how she helped along the way, making the clothing, sewing it up, and later taught me how to do it. Um, it could have gone anywhere. Plus, having my dad on the other side wanting us to be doctor and lawyer, it could have gone there too had we stayed there. I'm not sure. It was all a big mystery.
right. Well, actually, I was thinking about asking you what was your interest in fashion or clothing as a youngster. I mean, mom is, measuring you, you're going to the stores together, you're buying fabric and all of that. Did you have, were you warming up to this in any way?
I don't think so. Not at the time. Not at the time. At the time, it was just having nice things to wear, new things to wear. It was always, now I look back and I think, it was always that pressure of having things and, nice things to go out. And whenever that was the case, my mom would make sure, that we had nice things to wear because she would make them for us. It wasn't being bought somewhere. It wasn't coming from the States or Canada where, some folks had that. Where they have family abroad sending them things. We never really had that. So it was something that I guess she realized, having two daughters, she just had to do what she knew best, and that was, I'm happy that she knew do that. Otherwise, I'm not sure what would have happened.
Look at you now.
And the girls love to dress, so like any girls.
Yeah. So I want to go back to where you were going just now.
Mhm.
You came to this country at 16 years old.
Mhm.
And this particular part of the conversation is dear to my heart because I do research in immigration, immigrant, migration and all of that stuff. And one of the things that I consistently hear, especially for children and teenagers, is that they sometimes become rebellious because, depending on age, right? Their parents just pick them up and move them to another country, leaving friends behind, all of these things that are important to them as a teenager. How was it for you?
Oh boy, this is a can of worms, because it was great for me, because and I think I could say that for my sister as well, as we were both uh, okay. My boyfriend at the time, who is my husband now, was already in the United States. So I wanted this process to be as quickly as possible, to get here as soon as possible. So there was no retaliation whatsoever, and my sister was not having any issues at all on her part. So I think it was a unilateral sort of a decision on the family's part. So
Like a happy moment, pretty much for everybody.
yes, yes, overwhelmingly happy.
Good, good, good. No, when you came here, you went to Richmond Hill High School,
Mhm.
right? What was the difference for you?
Completely different. Completely different. Here you're thrown. Well, thankfully, we came in April of that year. Uh, Went into the school, make sure I would be there come in the fall of that year, because they were winding down into the summer break, and I thought, you know what, it's only 2 months away from summer break. I'll take leave from there, start fresh in the fall. So that's what we did. And going in there, it was quite a shock, a culture shock, coming from Guyana a couple days in and going into the school system to try and register. Um, but I've I've made some good friends. I had a few very good friends who I'm still friends with, um, that lived in the neighborhood, that went to that school as well. So, and they were very good to me, knowing that I just came here. Um, we lived, when we first came, which is usually the case for many families, we lived with an uncle that, in Richmond Hill, and it was a short walk to school. And so I would go with the ladies that I've made friends with. So that thank and I've always thanked them whenever I get a chance, because of their generosity. It worked out for me. It was a smooth process.
Okay. Until graduation, I'm thinking.
Um, which, yes, some went up to their own. Yes, some, and I think this was probably one of the things why I ended up uh, thinking accounting might have been my thing, because a lot of them were going off to Queens College in that same category. So whether it was a subconscious decision on my part to do the same, because at that age, really, you're still unsure of what you really want to do. Some people, they already know. It wasn't the case for me, because I can't say I didn't know, but I thought, accounting, I can do that. And I suppose I can get a nice stable job, a nice paying, stable income. But it didn't pan out that way.
How many years did you spend at Richmond Hill High School? Two?
2 years. So I was on the verge of graduating in Guyana to write the CXC exam, which I didn't. That was happening in June, and we got through to move to the US in April. So it was just a few months away from writing the exam. So I never got to do it. But when I went to Richmond Hill High School, they've put me back to 11th grade, because I guess with the education system was a little bit uh, lower
It's the
or the age just didn't work out. So they put me back in the 11th grade, um, which made me I end up getting into the top 10 of the school, graduating the top 10 of the school, which I it's a little bit on on uh, coming in from almost graduating from Guyana to going back into 11th grade. I think I had a little bit of that on my side. So
yeah.
but yes, two years, and at 12th grade I graduated and went off right away to Queens College.
Nice, nice, nice. So for those of you who just joined us, I'm sitting with Sarah Bacchus, designer, TV host, entrepreneur, just a few hats that she wears. Why don't we take a peek of some more of you, Sarah, and then come back and continue the conversation. I was talking through the muted button. Sarah,
Yes.
so more snapshots of you. Now, just now we just reflected on your life in Guyana, your migration, your education continuing here, your at least your high school education continuing here. Your college experience, though, began at Queens College. Then you went to Hunter College, and you thought you were going to become an accountant. You hinted to that just now, but you were following the pack. You didn't know what you were doing. You were following the pack. And then you changed to fashion and went to the Fashion Institute of Technology. And then here you are now, today. What was happening though that caused these changes for you? When did you realize that it's not accounting, it's fashion?
Yeah. Um, Not like one day I woke up and, it was suddenly a difference in, what am I going to be when I grow up? It was, over time, the grades were great. As, we had the whole, lecture from my dad, you have to have great grades. So the grades were fine. It's just the satisfaction, the love of what I was doing wasn't there. I did my assignments. I did my, I went to school just because I was going to school. It's, just like existing, not living. So I just, and it was a constant, at this point, I was already into the fashion magazines. I was already, can't have enough of it. And because I loved fabrics and things like that, I was going to fabric stores. So it was all of that I'm thinking to myself, if I love going to these places, I'm like a kid in a candy store when I go to a fabric store. Why am I, not happy with what I'm doing in school? I wanted to be happy all around, feeling like, okay, if I'm not happy in school, what am I expecting when this becomes a job? It's not going to be any better. So I think that's where the switch happened. I was also, going to school in the city at this point, going to Hunter. And it would be the same ride going to FIT. I was, doing it already. So it was an easy decision to make. I just, had a little bit of persuading my parents, and and they've always been very supportive in terms of what we wanted to do, what we thought would be our life's calling and things like that. So they were happy. At least it seemed happy, and and I went for it.
So you were going to, you're attending Queens College, then Hunter accounting. In between, somewhere along the line, you're also going to fabric stores, you're saying. What's taking you to the fabric stores? By now, are you creating stuff on your own? What?
Well, we never stopped making things. Yes, you're living here, it's more accessible buying clothes and things like that. But I I don't know, it was just something that, we did back there, back in Guyana, that I continue doing here. Not knowing where it was going to, end up. Uh, and I soon thought, if this is making me happy, I go to Times Square, I go down to the garment district, I buy fabrics. I think this is probably something I should look into. And lo and behold, it was the best 4 years, three and something change, that I did my associates in. But I did it as an evening student, part time, and rack up my credits, and continued, like, during the summers that followed. I never continued to getting a bachelor's because I was taking courses that were relevant to me,
Mhm.
and certificate programs that were relevant, and working, well, taking those classes that were taught by, great designers, that were in the industry, that came and taught, everything you need to know in a certificate program, and everything of, that was currently happening. And just those programs just kept you in the know of everything that was going on currently. And I loved that. It wasn't, a curriculum to follow in terms of, the bachelor's, and which maybe one day, who knows, just to have it. But I enjoyed those programs that followed. And if I would still go, like, if there's something, there's a designer or someone in the industry that's going to have a class that, they're going to teach during, a certain amount of weeks, I try to get on and getting into those classes.
That makes sense because you want to enhance your knowledge based on your interest, because this is life for you right now. This is life. So whatever you're investing in, it has to enhance what you're doing. So I can see how the certificate programs will actually could work, have worked, will work. Now, what happened at FIT that got you the breakthrough, that gave you the breakthrough on the fashion industry scene?
Well, while there, I don't think I took all the programs and the all that was that at the time, not knowing everything that was accessible to me. Being I was an evening student, all the good things were happening during the daytime. So a lot of it I did just to get the know-how, the proper know-how, in terms of, like, I knew how to sew going into it. I knew how to drape going into it because my mom did that. But I didn't know, like, you have to have a certain way of doing it if you are going to work with the company. And how does the American company wants you to know what needs to be done if I'm going to work as an assistant designer, an associate designer, designer. What are the things I needed to do? So those things were what I was looking for in the at FIT. So I was able, which I've never done before, I was able to do drawings on the computer, Illustrator, Photoshop. Those programs were things that I was able to gain how to draw on those, because when I got to my first job, as you had mentioned in my bio, at Oxford, what I was, what my responsibility was to make sure the factories that we're sending these drawings to had as much information done on drawings in order for them to not have questions to come back and forth, because the more back and forth is lessening their time of production. So I was able to get my drawings and have them to, you know, the optimum, with all information in there. You know, lines had to be perfect, your measurements, and just, which wasn't something I'd ever done before. Even drawing a garment by hand, I'd never done before, but there were classes for that. So all of those things were what I took away from being at FIT. That's how it's helped, because the jobs that followed required them.
Now, before this response that you gave, you talked about sewing and draping, and you said that very, very quickly. I want you to explain to our viewers what draping is, so that there could be clarification that we're not talking about draping as it relates to the window.
Right.
What is draping?
So it's having a mannequin. You can, in some cases, people use an actual person, but if a person is not there with you, we use a mannequin. The industry likes to use, for draping, you use a size 6 or an 8, which is like an equivalent to a size medium. And sometimes some designers, they've gotten in trouble for this in the past, and because they use size 2s or size 0s. And the notion is that if you use that size 6 or 8 and you're draping a garment on a medium, when the time comes for you to size up and size down, it's easy to change the pattern a bit, because you can size up to a large, extra large, or you can size down to a small, extra small, and then the medium is right in the middle. So you don't have to drape all the sizes. You just drape the middle and you grade up and down. So that's draping. Once you've draped it, you've gotten the garment complete, and you drape in muslin, which is it's a fabric that's like a raw cotton fabric. It's a little heavy duty. There's different weights of them depending on what garment you're going to make. If you're making something very very drapey, very over the top, with lots of fabric and lots of draping, and needs a lot of flexibility on it, you would use a thinner muslin fabric. If not, if you're doing something very close and very structured, you use a heavier, almost canvas kind of a fabric. And you would make your markings on the garment as you go. And when you take it off and you put it flat on the table, you make all your lines, you connect all your lines, and you take the measurements from there. Then it goes onto a pattern paper, and then patterns are made from that. And then it's graded up, graded down.
Okay. Wow. So you folks watching and listening, don't try this unsupervised, okay? Don't. I know Sarah makes it sound easy, but guess what? That's her trade. So we're learning some things here. Now, before launching your brand, 34, 24, 36, Sarah, in 2010, you launched your brand. You worked at Oxford Industry as an assistant designer, and you hinted to that just now. I want to ask you, what is an assistant designer? So folks out there, if you didn't know, there is an assistant designer, there's an associate designer, and then there is a designer. So we'll get some education about these levels of the titles. Now, what is an assistant designer, and how was this experience for you at Oxford Industry?
So all of them have their own, their own, all their main points. The assistant gets to do all the things no one else wants to do, or no one else, well, the designers don't have to do. And everyone has to start somewhere. And being that it was the first job in the industry, you don't have your resume is not showing you, as having experience. It's a good place to start because you're starting at the bottom. You get all the information you need as you go up. So I started from the bottom. We got to, well, there were a few assistant designers at Oxford at the time, and we each had our own designer that we worked with. But around the holidays, we all had to go and do window shopping. We take pictures of all the big department stores in the city. We did lots of flat designs, which were the designs I told you I did on the computer in Photoshop or in Illustrator. We do flat designs of all the garments. What else did we do? We do collages because when buyers come in to see what the collection is going to look like, first they're coming in to see your inspiration. And the inspiration would be all the things that all the pictures blown up that we've taken. They're all blown up. They're on the collage board. Sometimes we're the ones that go in the store. We buy garments, which they're going to knock off to make their version of it. But they liked it so much, or it's a trendy piece. Everyone has to have it. So we would be the ones that go buy it, bring it into the office, and the designers and the sample room, they would take the measurements off of this garment, and then we are the ones that have to take it back and return it. So those were some of the responsibilities of an assistant. And in case of, you'd mentioned Walmart and Target, those companies by far are some of the most strictest companies to work for in terms of colors, matching colors in to make sure colors match throughout their stores. Like all the reds must be perfectly matched. Sometimes you go to certain stores and you see two of the exact same garments, but the colors are off. This red might not look like this red. Well, someone didn't do their job right, or that company probably didn't have a strict policy of making sure their dye lots, they're called dye lots, match. This way you have a uniform product from store to store. And so when it came to Walmart or Target, the colors, whether it's a white shirt or a black pants or whatever the item was, you go in a light box and you match them. They have to match the original that you started out with. If they don't, then you send it back and they have to do another, and until it matches the one that the company wants or that Walmart wants. And so those were some of the responsibilities of an assistant. Now, moving forward to the associate, it's all of those things and maybe a little less of, taking pictures, and because there might be someone else, if the company has an assistant, that person would go out to get all the pictures and things like that. But for the associate, I was able to work with the sampler room. That was an added responsibility. And in the sampler room, not too many companies in the garment district right now have a sampler room. most of it is done in China or an offshore company. But at the time when I was in the industry, this is before the market crash in 2008, there's their in-house sampler room. So what the sampler room does is make the sample. It's exactly what it sounds like. They make a sample of each garment they're going to showcase to to whoever is coming in, buyers coming in from different companies to buy that, to place an order for that garment. So I was in charge of when the designer went away, I had to take care and make sure the sampler room had all they needed: fabrics, trims. I met with fabric vendors, trim vendors, and trims could be from a hook and eye to a zipper to buttons to appliques. So a little bit more responsibility as the associate. And then as a designer, you get to lay off of those things and you get to take care of the actual designs. Because before, you were the one taking the designs the designer gave you and you're putting them in a flat pattern on Illustrator, or you sketch it out if he's just like making a notation as to what he wants, and you take notes and you deliver. But now you're doing that as a designer.
So,
and you're giving the instructions.
So your experience as the associate designer with Oxford Industry and the assistant rather, the assistant designer at Oxford Industry, and then the associate designer at Halmode Apparel really prepared you for 34, 26, 30.
Yeah.
It prepared you for your brand.
It really did. It really did.
Good. So let's take another look-see at some of what you do. And we'll come back and talk some more about how all of this experience has pushed you forward.
Straight up, I for the gal and moving with the trend, and we a follow back at them again, hey. Straight up, I for the gal and moving with the trend and the perfect 10. Forget the plan, I tell you already, girl, I tell you again. You got you going on, so won't you be my girlfriend? I tell you the same, me I go tell it to your plan. Yeah, forget the girl, man, I go deal with the game coming. Tell her already, girl, I tell you from when. You got you going on, so won't you be my girlfriend? I tell you the same, me I go tell it to your plan. Yeah, forget your girl, man, I go deal with the game coming. First time I said you, girl, you catch my attention. The way how you flow is like a natural attraction. I'm looking at you, girl, it's like I'm looking at reflection. Picture this, yo, me and you together in a combination, girl, moving up in life in slow motion. So when me have to do forgetting a relation, tell me now, because me I go ease up the tension. Me I forget you, girl, me I go stop till you mention. So give me the try, nobody act like you're shy. Me love you, baby girl, man, it done certified. Me ready for the ride, but the only thing missing is a girl on the side. So me tell you already, girl, I tell you again. You got to go on, so won't you be my girlfriend? Me tell you the same, me I go tell it to your plan. Yeah, forget your girl, me I go deal with the game coming. Tell her already. Think that to the floor, don't try. Kitty cat, come sit on my lap. One more time, bump flip on the top. Don't stop, hot walk on the spot. Stay with the bass, where hip for the track. Wait for the punch, then drop it on flat. Flip it up like high hot, then work with the style like you know, but not then. Turn around and make it pop. Spin around and make it clap. Now shake that ass, cause you know say you're hot. Mix it up slow, wine like that. Don't hold it down, the thing that fat. From the front and straight to the back. Don't show it off for the thing where you got. Cause you're born under my sting and shot. Keep me to the girls and with the pretty face, nice shape, tight waist, everything you there in place. All them long like a grape, so them sweet, so them taste. So you smooth, girl you smooth in every way, anyway. Dedicate to the girls them like a boom shell. All them swell, smooth as hell, such a cutie, sweet as well. The way she bounce, to the ground, can't you tell? What they gal, the way you dwell is like a spell. So get up and shake that booty, get it, girl, move that body. Come on, I get when me say it. To the girls them what me love, to the girls them what me play. Listen at the dirty and hear when me say it. Tick tick tock to the floor, just drop. Kitty kitty cat come sit on my lap. One more time, come flick on the top. Don't stop, don't stop. Hot walk on the spot. Stay with the bass, way hip on the track. Then wait for the punch, then drop no flat. Leave it up like high hot. Then work with the style like you know but that. Then turn around and make it pop. Spin around and make it clap. Now shake that ass, 'cause you know say you're hot. Mix it up, slow wine like that. Girl, hold it down, make it left fat. From the front and straight to the back. Girl, show it off with the thing where you got that boom land on my sting and shot. Get the key to the girls them with the pretty face. Nice shape, tight waist, everything you get in place. How them wrong like a grape, so them sweet, so them taste. Smooth, gal you smooth in every way, anyway. Dedicate to the girls them like a boom shell. How them swell, smooth as hell, such a cutie, sweet as well. The way she bounce, the way she bounce, to the ground, can't you tell? Go there, gal, the way you dwell is like a spell.
I'm Sarah Bacchus for 34, 24, 36. It's my debut collection at Queen's Fashion Week. I hope you're having a great time. There's a lot in store, lots of designers, lots of businesses, just showing what Queens has to offer. Enjoy yourselves. Again, it's Sarah Bacchus for 34, 24, 36. Enjoy the
Yeah, I was beside myself. I was cheering on here on the mute button. For those of you who've joined us late, I'm sitting with Sarah Bacchus, fashion designer, entrepreneur, and TV host. We just saw the launch of her brand back in 2010. The brand is 34, 24, 36. Sarah, I have to ask you, was this your first take at being an entrepreneur? Is this your first business venture?
It was.
It was. Okay.
Right.
So how did you, I don't want to say reinvent yourself, because this is the first time that you're coming out as a designer. How did you invent yourself as a designer, as an entrepreneur, to launch your brand?
It took every bit of courage I had. Granted, I have a great support system in my family. They do everything with me. They're always helping. They come behind the scenes. They help. They do everything. But to getting to that point, knowing that I've always done it, by hand, my mom would cut it, I would sew it. There was no structure in that, but I was thankful at that time for what, I was learning there. I had the ideas, everything were there. I just needed the right way to do it as I suppose there's no right and wrong way, but the way that the industry would have it. Like, I can start sewing things up in a factory, but there needs to be patterns. There needs to be, certain things in place so that it's done correctly, and you can go back to those things and not just do it on a fly. So getting to that point, I worked with a sampler room, which I continue to work with in the garment district. I told them what my vision was. We worked together with the draping to make sure we got things the way I wanted it, the way I envisioned it. And that was a couple months in the making. Knowing that this event was going to be in the fall, I started like early summer. So it's usually the process. You don't start doing the sewing and all of that stuff the day before. It gets done months before. In the premier designers that are out there, they're already showing for a year in advance.
Yeah.
So it's just the way it works. And so I did I had my models come in, I had measurements. Well, I had one model, I called up a couple, and one model is the model that I used for the samples. And I've also used her as the model to do, like, to get the photographs of the collection. There might be some photographs in there that has her, but I used her as my sample model, and this way it didn't really need any tweaking. Once the garment was done for her to wear it and be photographed in it, there weren't any tweaking required. We did have to do some tweaking on the girls on the first fashion show there, because some were, quite thinner than my sample model. So we had to do backstage, tweaks, a little dart here and a little dart there to make sure it works perfectly on them.
So regarding so this is your first venture going out there. Who pushed you?
I don't know that anyone pushed. So I ended my job in the the job ended.
Okay, so then who
Mode.
pushed you?
So the market crashed in 2008. So I was working at Hall Mode. It would have been perfect. The market crashed. Little by little, the companies and the departments started to get smaller and smaller. My department, Liz Claiborne, was just, kaput. It was out of business. For the company that I work for Hall Mode, there were other companies that had licensee to make other things for Liz Claiborne, and that's how it works in the industry. Like, obviously Liz Claiborne is not alive, but there are companies who have license to make garments in her name. So the cocktail dresses were being made by Hall Mode Apparel, which was the company I work for. There were other companies that had other parts of Liz Claiborne. But for Hall Mode, Liz Claiborne just went. It was the first brand to go that they were designing for. And there went my job. And so I had recently given birth to my first, Ava. And I thought, it'd be a great time to just take some time off, because I'd never stopped working since I was 16 years old, which is the same for lots of people. But, so I thought, okay, it'll be good. I'll have some time with her, which I end up making work wonderfully, because I ended up taking her to school every day for 1 year, all the way out in Long Island. It was an hour 15 commute in the morning each way. And she went to school at 2.5 years old for 1 year. And we had these great, it's great time spent for that 1 year. And so that was the first year of being off. And the second year, I said, I think this is it. I'm missing what I was doing so much. But at this point, there were no jobs available in fashion in the industry. It had completely gone down. The Women's Wear Daily newspaper, which is where fashion people go to get their jobs, there were no classified, no help wanted section in that newspaper anymore. Everything had just been strictly overseas. And it was one of the reasons why this brand, 342436, had to be a New York, US brand, because the feeling I had when I lost my job, I didn't want to ever have it again. To outsource and have that become a reality that, had something gone wrong. So it had to be everything done here. And that's what I'm sticking with. So far, so good. And I love the fashion industry. There are talks of it coming back. I'm looking forward to that. And it has gotten better. The jobs are still not there. But having advanced to being a designer of, my own brand, I don't think I want to go back there. Um, but just to move forward.
Love it, love it, love it. So what's in the name of the brand? 34, 24, 36.
Once upon a long, long time, those were the measurements. So 34, 24, 36. And many, many moons ago, gosh, I don't want to think about it. But it was also it's an icebreaker. People want to come up and right away they get in this mode of do you only design for skinny people? Well, no. Let's talk about this. And it become like so many people came up to me asking that. Do you only? It's because that's what the brand is called. But no, it's just about the perfect fit. Not saying that that size is the perfect fit, but what the brand is, it's about making the perfect fit for the customer.
I like the name though, because it's an icebreaker, for conversation. I mean, it's a way to sell your product, I'm thinking, because okay, it's these numbers. It must be that she's only catering to the petite. It must be that she's only catering for a certain segment of the women population, that kind of thing, because it's easy to assume based on the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And if some folks have body image issues, that would be a conversation piece for them. How come? So when you started your brand, what was your goal?
Yes. The goal is to be able to have my own space where I can either have folks come to me or me going to them, which has been what I've done. It's gone both ways, but a little more of me going to them. It's a service I want to have. I want to extend to my customer. They're busy people. I want to make it easy for them. I take them fabric swatches, small swatches of whatever I'm assuming they're going to want to buy or want to see. But that might be a second visit. But first, I would take garments with me depending on what the person wants to see. If I had swatches, I would take swatches. And I go to their convenience, whether it's their home, their work, and take away, that they're responsible for doing something. That's my service. I want to make it easy for you. And so that was what I set out to do. And in the process, if along the way I had a boutique, I don't want to, I want it to be an exclusive, and that's what it's been. It's an exclusive brand. I don't want a mass marketed brand. And pretty much that's the goal, is to really delve into that market, where you have busy women doing, their thing, and this is the last thing they want to do is to go and shop. Well, I'm your gal.
What surprised you about your brand since you've started it?
That I keep getting, even though I haven't had a fashion show in quite a few years, I keep getting asked, when is the next one? I want to come to your next show. Because it's not in a store where someone can go and touch the fabrics or, see it. When I do pop-ups with some companies during the holidays and things like that, they get to come and see it. They get to come and feel the product. And sometimes I've had some people who have been just curious to see what it is, and they would call me up and make appointments to just come and see what I have. And I'm fine with that. I've done it quite a few times. You know, so it's an enthusiasm I get every time I talk to someone that wants to know a little bit more about it, and it's what keeps me, you know, to at that point where I know I have something here that I can't lose track of or lose sight of. I have to keep building upon it.
What would you say was your biggest challenge in launching your brand?
So I am the artist of this brand. I do all the hands-on. I do from conceptual, you know, conceptualizing. I do from the sketching, the purchasing of fabric, the you know the draping, the everything. I am not the seller, so I have to find a PR person to do that part for me, because I am not the seller. I just do the art side of it.
Yeah, yeah. And you see, the thing is, with being your own boss, your own business person, there's always some place where there is a need for added hands, and sometimes if you're a personality, and I don't know your personality too, you feel as though you have to really be attentive to every piece of the business, whatever is going on, because you do not want to have to fix anything later on that should not have been, you know, broken in the first place.
Mhm.
But I know that there has to be challenges in doing what you do, and that's why I ask you that question. So the number one question, I think, and you hinted to it, and I'm just letting you know that after this one, we'll take a look at some more of your work after this question. What would you say to someone who says to you, you do not cater to the woman who is like a, I would say a 42, a 32, 44? What would you say to that person?
I'll say, call me. Have you called me? My information is out there. Get in touch, because that's what making the perfect fit is all about. It's, you know, getting that garment on whatever the size is, whatever your size is. You just have to make that call. I don't know you. You have to call me.
Okay, all right, we'll call.
You're not in that category.
I'm speaking for my sisters.
And you've worn one of my pieces at Brooklyn Borough Hall.
That is true.
Amazing. And I hope one of those pictures show up.
I don't think so. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I am sitting with the one and only Sarah Bacchus, who is a fashion designer, an entrepreneur, and a TV host. Let's take a look at some more of Sarah's work, and then we'll continue the conversation. Okay. So that was a short one.
Mhm.
This here, what we just saw is a collage of pictures with your hat as a TV host, right?
Mhm.
So you've also you have the TV host hat, you have the voice talent hat, because you do voiceovers too. So I wanted us to spend a few minutes talking about that, and then we'll go back to your fashion designing. Let's talk about your experience as a TV host and with Exposed TV of Stealth Productions. How did you get into TV hosting?
It was simple. I know the boss. I'm married to the owner of Cell Productions, Neil Bacchus, and it's a production company, and he's gotten, from commercials to infomercials. We have a studio that folks come and they do their whether it's an educational piece, whatever. We've done some skits in here. So I've always been open to that, not being on everything, but just I always helped with the writing. If there were any researching of all the artists that were going to be here, I did that, formulating questions and, getting it prepared for Neil. So when it came to getting this show started, Exposed TV, it was just very organic, really, because I was doing this for so many years, before, and it was spotlighting people in the community. We would have folks that were doing things that no one ever really took notice of, and it was Stealth's way of giving back to the community. And so it's sometimes, it worked with our schedule. We still did everything else that we were doing. And when we had whether it was a topic or something that was happening in the community, we reach out to that person who was doing it and got our materials that way. The clips that you showed, though, were from the movie Till I Find a Place. And some of the folks in there that I was able to interview were the producer, Mahadeo Shivraj, my Nadir Bacchus, who is my father-in-law. He's a poet, he's a singer-songwriter. He did a lot of the songs for movies, for Mahadeo Shivraj's movies, and some of the other artists in there that I've done that separate from Till I Find a Place. So it's been great being able to do that, because not only do I get to meet these folks, we get to put it out there, and it used to be broadcasted on like the whether it was the public access channels in Manhattan, in Queens, and then my husband started to do it on YouTube. They're all on there, so it's been great doing those shows.
Nice. So I have a quick news flash for you, and this is going to really bring a smile to your face. So before Mahadeo Shivraj did the film Till I Find a Place, guess who was Donna in the stage play?
No way.
Yes way.
Yeah, how things come full circle.
Yes. It was quite an experience, hilarious, and
Oh
joyful.
my goodness.
Yes, but we'll talk about that some more off of this. Yes. So I'm glad that you were able to give some visibility to Till I Find a Place, because the writer of that play, Ron Hollingsworth, and Mahadeo Shivraj, I know they're buddies. I mean,
they go way back.
Yeah, and it's like Ron writes for Shiv, and Shiv just waits for Ron, because they work so well together. It's like they're in each other's head. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to give some visibility to Till I Find a Place, the film. Now, in terms of your voice talent and the voiceovers, were you professionally trained, or you just train up yourself?
I did it myself.
Love it.
Did it myself. Certain things I have to say a certain way. I say it till I get it.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, well, he is my husband, and he is very, very critical in every sense of the word. So I don't get away with it, I just don't get away with it. When he's doing that, he is in the producer hat, and it's the best or nothing. So it's no free passes.
You answered my next question, because I was thinking of asking you, how do you know when you get it? Because I know, and the thing with voiceovers, and I know you would agree with this, is that you can pick up the piece of paper and read it and you get it. But once it's about to be recorded, that's when you get the tongue twisted, something came out right, you did most of it, and then you get to the end, and then you bump over something, and then you got to start all over again. But it's good that Neil is there, just saying, sorry, you can't do that, And now, what is the longest you remember taking to do a take?
Sometimes it could go, not very long. I mean, in terms of takes on what? The commercials, or when we did Exposed TV? The commercials. Not long, because maybe earlier on, which I can't remember, but there's a way I would stand with the mic higher than me. That sort of allows me to look up when I'm talking. And for some reason, a different voice comes out. And that's been my go-to. So I totally get it when I hear, say a British person speaking American English.
Yeah.
When they have to train themselves to do that, I feel the same, because there's certain things I would hold back, or a certain way I set my tongue, so it could sound a certain way.
Yeah. What is your favorite voiceover that you've done?
I can't say favorites, otherwise they wouldn't have me do it again.
Okay. So we'll chalk it down to.
But the current one I'm doing, I'm the voice for City Termite Control, which is the business, the family business.
Okay. Do you want to give us a couple of lines? What do you say? Do you remember?
Sure. Their tagline is "Don't let your pest be your guest." Which really, plays on those pesky pests in your home. So just call the fellas and they'll take care of it.
Okay. So one of the highlights of your career, one of the many, has been your work being recognized, whether by print media or, visual media, in terms of it being covered on the air. You were recognized by the West Indian Music Awards a few years ago. Tell us about that.
It was great. I got the message. There were two other fashion designers that were also being recognized. It wasn't, something that, like a competition of any sort. It was just a recognition, which I thought was quite nice. It was a music awards that they were recognizing fashion. And so I was very happy about that, because it's all part of the arts, as you've mentioned when you began the show. There were two other designers that were also in the category, and it was really cool, because then it gives you that feeling of how it really is when you're on a grander stage. When that happens for me, I would know what to expect. It just, set things up for the next levels.
I like it. So for those of you who've joined us late, I'm sitting with Sarah Bacchus, fashion designer, entrepreneur, and TV host, amongst other titles. We'll take a look at some of her work, and we'll come back and talk some more. Let's watch. So I have to ask you, Sarah, was that your sample model?
She was one of them.
Okay.
So different collections, I use different models.
Okay.
Yes, but for that one, yes. So she was a sample model for that one.
What collection was that?
That was the Aurora collection. I love it because of all the colors. I was able to play with colors.
Yes.
And that shoot was amazing. We started out about 6:30 in the morning at Coney Island, and we started the makeup. We picked up the makeup artist. I did the hair. The makeup artist did the makeup, obviously.
Sarah.
Yes.
I am thinking this is such wonderful work. Now, we just saw Coney Island. Where are we here now?
This one is by the Whitestone. The area, I believe, is called Malba.
Okay.
right under the bridge.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there were two bridges on the two sides. I can never remember, but yeah, I think the area was called Malba,
Okay.
and it was two completely different kind of days. This one here, as we're watching right now, windy day. But so thankful that the model actually did what she did. She just continued doing her thing. But
now, which collection is this one we're looking at? We'll go back and talk about Aurora. Which one is this?
this is the last one, Skeldon collection.
Okay, okay. So now I want us to go back to Aurora. I wanted to show both at least a couple of your collections, but you started to say about the Aurora collection, about the colorfulness, and I really loved how playful the model was with the accessories and all of that. And aside from Aurora with all of those colors, which other collection gives you an opportunity to play with colors that way? Or is it that colors is just your thing?
Well, I do like the colors. I do like colors. I'm not big on prints. It's something I'm coming to terms with, because I do like prints when done right, when it's beautiful prints, but not all prints, work for me. Mm-hmm. And so if I really like it, and the Aurora collection began with one fabric. It's the one that's a jumpsuit with a peplum. It's all in one color, and it's sort of like a watercolor. It was that piece, that fabric I saw that inspired the whole collection.
Wow.
And so I thought, when I looked at it, I called it the Aurora collection because it reminded me of the Aurora Borealis, with all the colors. Mm-hmm. So sometimes that's all it takes. It's the fabric, or it's, however you feel. The Skeldon collection was somewhat of an homage to the strong women I know in Skeldon, where I lived, in Berbice. And then the white collection was just something I wanted to do that was primarily white, and I had some splashes of colors in there. And the dresses and separates have quite a bit of colors in there as well. But not as not as much as I feel as the Aurora collection.
So you love to work with the colors, and I want to ask you, with this work that you do, putting your garments out there, and I'll ask you the difference between garments, clothing, and all of that in a minute, right? So that we can get a better understanding of the language for the industry. Now, how about your interactions with the models? I mean, I understand that, yeah, you have a vision, a visual of how they, and I'm going to steal your word, and I hope I say it right, how the garment should be draped on the model. I'm thinking that you visualize this stuff even when you're sketching, conceptualizing, and all of that. And one of the things that I've read about your work is that your designs are eco-friendly and socially responsible. Now, tell me about how you decide on model type. Are you looking for a particular height? Are you looking for a particular body? And what is it you're looking for when you're thinking you want to showcase your work, like how you did it in the park, like how you did it at Coney Island, not necessarily a fashion show?
Right. So in terms of finding the right model, sometimes, it's simple. I work with a model agency. And she pretty much, would give me a list, pictures, and I decide who, you know, I want to go with. But it's a little bit more than that. It's being able to use someone that, you know, works out with the measurements that we need to grade. Like like I said, when you drape a medium, you're able to size up and down. That same medium is also, I'm able to use that if it was someone that's you know, maybe a large or an extra large, but heavier on the top. I can use that same medium, but work it to work for that person with that's bustier.
Mhm.
So you're able to mark it up. So sometimes it's, you know, yes, I go for a model that, you know, would fit the measurements that we have. That's only for the photographs.
Okay.
But a lot of the times I usually have to change to give the person the actual garment that they want. I have to change, you know, measurements.
Yeah.
To give them that style that they want, whether it's in the hips, but overall the style is still there. It's just that I've had to, you know, sort of change some aspect of the pattern.
Okay.
So the model is only really there to wear the garment, so you get an idea of what the garment looks like, and it helps with my cost as well. Because if I was to use a model for the fit process at the sampler room, and then have to, you know, use a model for the photography aspect of it, that's two models.
Yeah.
But if I use and chances are I would still have to tweak for the second model for the photographs. But when I make it with one of the measurements, I use that same person for both process.
Got it. Got it.
It's a cost factor as well.
Okay. Makes sense, though. It does make sense. Now, I mentioned just now the eco-friendliness and the social responsibility piece. What does that mean?
Okay, so the items, the fabrics I choose are natural fibers. And that essentially means that it's found in nature. It's silks, it's cottons, it's grown, it's not made. Sometimes when it's put together as a blend, well, yes, it's made, but it's made from two fabrics or two fibers that were found in nature that are just put together. I am not one to go for fabrics like polyesters and spandex, and which, you know, those fabrics have their place in different types of clothing. But what I like to offer is natural fibers. And the reason for that is it breathes. It breathes in the cooler months. You're able to get the warmth from it. And in the warmer months, because it breathes so well, it keeps you cool. So that's the inherent factors of natural fibers. It's not the same if there was polyester in there or man-made fibers. And some of the issues we're having in terms of it being eco-friendly is that there's so much of trendy garments being made out there that people are not very, or the consumer is not very aware, or whether they're aware but they choose not to do anything about it. But it's quick for them to just buy something that's, you know, it's an easy piece. They pay it in a wash or two washes, it's gone. But what do you do with it? Where does this go when you throw it out? The landfills in America are like yearly, they talk about something like 80 to 85% of our landfills are found with things that are not able to disintegrate and go back to the soil. It's things that are, you know, it would take for, I don't know how long for them, like other processes has to be done in order, excuse me, in order for it to become, something back that's put back into the earth. So, and it's all, part of, I guess educating the consumers. Fast fashion is really, something that's creating problems in our landfills. And so the idea was to make things that are, that's timeless. You can wear them for as long as you like until you're ready to get rid of it, because it's going to stand up to the test of time. And it's one of those, yes, they might be investment pieces, and
but I think that's critical information that you're giving, Sarah, in terms of knowing the importance of the textures of the garments that you're investing in, and knowing how it can affect our nature. How especially now, with how we need to be eco-friendly when we think of global warming and the like, how our planet is affected. We're getting ready to wind down. I want us to just take a peek at some more of your work, and then we'll come back and put a cap on this lovely conversation that we're having. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who've joined us, I'm sitting with Sarah Bacchus, who is a fashion designer, an entrepreneur, and a TV host, amongst other things. So let's watch a little more of Sarah's work.
Bridge was being spotlighted and celebrated after being closed for 40 years, having fallen into ruins. Its reawakening into a redefined state of magnificence wasn't only for the eco-fashion event, but for all who will visit thereafter, to take in its magnitude and wonder, as it's surrounded by plush greenery and a panorama of tranquility. While the bridge lends itself to a sprawling structure over the Harlem River, its realistic features facilitate pedestrians and bicyclists to move freely from the Bronx Edge to the Manhattan Steps, all in keeping with maintaining a natural and eco-friendly environment. Folks from near and far visited the affair, taking in the splendor, that is, of the newly restored High Bridge and all of its proceedings. Thirty-four 2436 is a luxury brand. We're consistent on the qualities we use. We invest in natural fibers that make up quality fabrics, rather than man-made fibers that's easily found, overly used, and extremely difficult to recycle in our ecosystem. 34 2436 was the first brand to initiate the eco-fashion in the park festivities. We were one of 5 designers to present our fashion showcases on the High Bridge, while simultaneously the Eco Swap Boutique was enlightening patrons on simple clothing recycling practices.
34, 24, 36. That must have been a grand experience on the bridge, Sarah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was a quarter-mile long bridge, and the girls were just, I mean, I don't know, I did it with them, but not in the way they did it. They had these long, you know, heels, stilettos, platforms, you name it, and they did it with such, you know, conviction. So it's bravo to the girls. They did it.
Thinking just, you know, showcasing on the bridge with
Mhm.
people just there, you know, taking it all in. And it must have been a really exciting experience. That's what I'm thinking, you know, to be out there in the element and just doing it in a carefree way, but structured.
It really was. And it we had to be part of it. And the director of it at the time, who were still friends, she's moved on doing different things, but Gina said, your brand has to be at the forefront. It's just, you know, knowing what the brand stands for. It's the eco-friendly, it's a timelessness, it's all that being in the park represented. Having this park that was, well, not the park was closed, but the bridge was closed for so long, and just, you know, it was all this bursting of life and you know, rejuvenation, and all this, you know, old is new again, and which is what you would find with 34, 24, 36. You know, you can wear these pieces for, you know, for many years to come, and still find that it's relevant, because, you know, the styles are not so outlandish that it doesn't work. It'll work. And I make sure that, you know, whatever I put out there, it's going to work.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have to ask you a few questions about do it yourself before I let you go, because I know that we had a conversation about how you alter stuff, how you change stuff. I mean, and it's part of your trade, because you're talking about how you tweak the garment, how you alter the garment, how you can move it up, and you can, I'm sorry, I forgot the lingo.
What you mark it up and you mark it down, you grade it up and down.
You can grade it up or down from the medium. But I know we had this conversation the other day where I was saying to you, for the winter, I have to use button down front, zipper front stuff, because my bun is so big, I can't really put on my sweaters and my turtlenecks and stuff. And you said to me, what?
I said, if you can find the seam that's along on whichever side, or sometimes in the back on the sweater, if you found that, and you can just open it up, if it's a turtleneck, open it up, get your hair in, get it on your body, and sew it back on, and just, who would know you're folding it back down.
So gals, we're getting some tips now, so you know. All right. Now, what are some must-have tools or equipment at home so we can do our own quick alterations? What do you recommend?
A little container, you can, whether it's like a jar, something, a pickle jar or something, put a couple needles in there, you know, 2 inches long needle, some threads, maybe some polyester threads, they last a lot longer, a black, a white, because those could work for any colors pretty much, a scissors, which you can get one, you know, for maybe $2, $1 at the 99-cent store, a thimble. A thimble is like, it's a little metal thing that you put in your finger so you don't prick your finger with the needle when you're pushing it through the fabric. A chalk, say you're doing just a white fabric chalk. You're doing a black garment, but you're folding or any color garment, and you're folding to make a hem, you do the chalk, you know, all around, so you get the right length that you're folding. Get some hook and eyes, because those come in so handy. If a button fall off, you could just put in a hook and eye in there and it'll keep it up. Presteds, which I think they call snaps. We call it presteds. Snaps, you can put in there as well. And those are pretty much all you need. Some needle thread, that little list. And you can fix a hem if your shoes keeps getting caught in that hem, which I'm sure everybody's have that happen. You just, if it's coming undone, you already have it folded. So it's pretty easy to just continue that stitch that's already there. Don't make it loose out completely. And sometimes you could just look and see how they've done it, how the original stitch is on there, and you just follow that. But you know, there's YouTube for everything, and I feel you can always Google it, but just having those items handy, and you just go on Google, it'll show you how to do the stitches, and you can do those little last minute things, you know, yourself.
So let me ask you, and now that you say Google, it does make sense. But I am thinking that if I have a new pair of pants and I need to pull in the waist, most ladies need to pull in the waist of their pants, right? I'm not even thinking about going to YouTube, to be honest with you. I'm probably looking for 2 big pins. I'm looking for 2 big pins to put them in there. What do you recommend?
Okay, so let's see. So you have a waistband that's like this going all the way around. Right. And you just want to get it a little smaller in there. Mm-hmm. You would take a little, you would indent it on the inside, like like so. Mm-hmm. But you catch it on the inside. So now you're on the inside. Right. And depending on how much you need it to take away to make it fit you, you would just give it a couple stitches right down here in a triangle, from the top to nothing. But here, from the top to nothing, and then when it opens back out, it becomes, now you get a smaller.
Yeah, but to me, especially if it's jeans, right? You know, the jeans, they're a little tougher sometimes, depending on the quality of the jeans material. Mm-hmm. I find that too much to do. That's why I just snap on my 2 pins. I'm sorry. I hear you.
Pins?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I put 2 pins. Nobody's going to see.
Okay.
But I get what
you could definitely fix it for later. Like, you know, if you know ahead of time that it needs to get done, get it done. Don't just put it aside and hope that, you know, because you don't want to grow into those. You don't want to grow into a bigger waist. You just want to be able to keep that tiny waist.
I agree. I totally agree. I have one more for you in terms of educating us. One of the things that I read in your bio is that there is a difference between sportswear and activewear. If you can give us a few lines to educate us before we leave, that would be great.
So a lot of times people, you know, they ask for, if, you know, they want to know, they want to find sportswear, like they want to find sporty stuff, which really they're looking for activewear, but they would say, you know, where can I find a sports bra? Or, well, you'll find that in the active section. Those are activewear. It's all the yoga gear, your workout gear. That's active. Sportswear is more or less the clothes that we wear on a normal basis: tops, bottoms, dresses, pants, even jeans. So I guess because I had mentioned that my background stems from fashion, sportswear design.
Yes.
but it really wasn't, you know, sports wear, as in exercise wear. It's tops, bottoms, dresses, and you know, the common everyday clothing.
I think that was important for you to say because sports,
Wear.
people take it literally, you know, and what you refer to as dress pants, jeans is what they call casual wear,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It could be a regional thing because I think this is how it is in the Caribbean.
Perhaps, perhaps.
When you hear about casual stuff, we're hearing somebody just wearing a pair of jeans and a top, you know, or a nice skirt and a top, or even workout wear, right? But they dress it up. And when they talk about sportswear, they're talking about what they call tracksuits,
Right, right.
tracksuits,
Wear.
or the loose bands, the workout wear. So, Sarah, believe it or not, 2 hours went by.
Can't
Just
be, cannot be.
yeah, just like that,
The quickest 2 hours ever.
just like that.
And I think we had more to talk about.
We had so much more to talk about. You are right, but it's been great. I just want to say how thankful I am that we got to do this conversation today because we've been trying to do this for a few Sundays now, right? But schedules didn't match. I hope that you really had a good time sharing about your craft, sharing about your work, sharing a little bit about who you are and teaching us some do-it-yourself tricks about how to handle our clothing.
Yeah, and there's still, you know, so much more, you know, that there is to learn. And I'm learning on a daily basis. You know, I'm never thinking that it's done for me. It's an ongoing process. So if one person took away something from this today, I'm ecstatic. And to you, Rosalind, I am truly, truly honored that we were able to do this and to be on arts, culture, and things in between.
Yay, thank you for coming. Can I ask you to quickly give me 2 sentences? What is considered clothing? What is considered garment, if there's a difference?
Clothing, garments,
Different?
I think they're much different.
Okay, all right. So that's the parting words.
Just wear your clothing or your garments in great health and strength.
There you go. Thank you so much. So please check out, just Google it, 342436.com. You can, and you'll find Sarah's work, the brand, the collections under the brand. And I would like to say to you, Sarah, thank you so much. Again, thank you for coming. Now to you, the viewers, thanks for joining us today on Arts, Culture, and Things in Between. For those of you who joined us for the first time, a special welcome to you. For those of you who've been with us and keep coming back, a special welcome and thank you to you too. I would like to acknowledge a few people who I always do because I am grateful. Claire Goring, who does the flyer every week, without question. Claire Goring, my sister, thank you very much. Yash Sunarayan is working on the website for me. Thank you, Yash. Dr. Raul Manzano has hand-painted the logo. I thank him so much. Now, Marcia Gordon, where are you, Marcia? I just wanted to say thank you, Marcia, for moving all of this work from Facebook to YouTube. Awesome job you're doing, and I thank you for that. And the man of the hour, Raul De Silva of RDE Pros, who make it happen every week. Raul, I thank you sincerely, and I appreciate you beyond your knowledge. So those of you who are unable to join us live and will watch the recording, we thank you too, and hope that all of you can come back, plus some, next Sunday from 3 to 5 on Arts, Culture, and Things in Between, and sit with me and my guest, and let's just learn things together and have some fun. Please visit the YouTube page if you get a chance. When you get a chance, like, subscribe to it. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Sunday at 3 o'clock. I'm your host, Rose October, and Arts, Culture, and Things in Between. And I wish you a healthy and productive week. Please follow all protocols for what is in store for us, because we're hearing that there may be a shutdown again. So please follow all protocols. And as I hang up and part from you, I have to say, thanks to all the well-wishers who sent the birthday gifts, the birthday wishes, the birthday calls, and everything yesterday. I truly appreciate you. You guys made me feel so special. And for that, I am thankful. That's all for today. Have a pleasant week and see you next week, Sunday, God willing. Bye-bye.